Third idea, the global, the crisis in Mexico. Third idea. In this framework, everybody consider we are facing this time, this year, 5 big conflictivities. First, it is not necessary in order or importance. The 5 explains the Mexican situation. First, the conflictivity related to dispossession, to these big, huge neoliberal projects, mining, subways, railways, highways, presas, dams, 7,000 projects of international invest was announced exactly 3 months before Ayotzinapa. The official party was very happy because they was able to realize in a package 11 structural constitutional reforms, even the energetical one, which was incredible to think it was possible in Mexico. And the calculation for them was Mexican society will not be able to join to confront the package. They will move thematically against one or against another, so they make the whole, and immediately after they announce this international infrastructure project of 7,000, most of them minings. And so this first conflictivity is because of this intention of this project to come to indigenous communities and lands without any kind of lies, juridical trampas, tricks. But if you add to this global moment that now consider the market not to be enough and they need strategical resources, water, bioenergetical, petroleum, carbon. So the first conflict we are facing, this is this aggression against land, resources, and territories we are living. At this moment, there are considered to be 4,200 conflicts of peasants and indigenous communities against this kind of dispositional projects. You maybe don't see it in papers, but this is a growing conflict all around the nation. To face it, most of these 4,200 at the moment, around 12% of all that amount of groups, they create and they announce it 2 weeks ago, the 10th of April, a little more, 1 month. 1 month ago, they announced a national campaign in the defense of land, natural resources, and territory. Maybe you don't see it, but this is a central conflictivity in Mexico and an issue for the three friends. Second conflictivity, the one related to violence, security, and this fight of victims for the appearance, for the replacement, against impunity, in the moment where Mexican system is very far off the real justice. Mexican justice is still related and a function of power. So justice is that in the logic of interest of those having the power. We don't have any autonomy of the system, and it's still very far, and we are still facing very conservative reforms that even in this moment are trying to give military new conditions to go wherever they want, to act in any house, telephone situation. Incredible. We are now having 4 laws, federal laws in discussion, one of them for against torture, another for disappeared people, another for the juridical system, another for the control of military and the public activities, and the four of them are a shame, very far of what it is needed. The parties are very far also to understand that. Third conflictivity, generally speaking, that related to human rights. That includes migration. And it's a pity to recognize, but if we consider US and Trump to be very on justice, tough, the worst, it's a pity to recognize that Mexico is worst in the south with our brothers and sisters from Central America. The US border begins in Mexico. And if you add to the strength of Mexican army, to the strength of Mexican police, to the problem of corruption, and the fact that the organized crime has found that migration is a fountain of resources, because they have a little dollars to come all away the country, etc. So the violence they face is incredible. And the only movement that are attending migrants in Mexico is a network of religious actors. A very ecumenical, silent, heroic network of religious people is the only one attending migrants. But this is now a central issue, not only in the relation of Mexico with Central America, but as Latin American to the US. And it is related to Canada because you know that you close the borders very hard against any Latin America to avoid the affectation of illegal immigration here. But Canada became a place for refugees. There are many leaders, Mexican leaders, that was persecuted by army, and that didn't find another country to come but to Canada. I know many of them, Mexicans and Guatemala, living here. And we need not only you increase this faculty of being a home for those political perseguidos políticos, but we need also you to change the concept of migration. But this third conflict includes migration, but it's the whole human rights struggle for any kind of agenda and demands. It's huge. In Mexico, practically, there is not at the moment any problem, any struggle, any agenda that you can't conceptualize in terms of human rights. So now you find a school, a neighborhood, a very little town demanding rights in that logic. And if Mexican government is not able, then we look for international solidarity, we look for the international Inter-American Commission or the whatever international. It's a moment for this international presence. Understand that media is not the way to express this movement, these expressions. Only the delegation like the one you have there may listen to, may feel these dignity processes are going on. The fourth conflictivity is related to democracy, political participation. There are efforts to go for federal government is now with a new law to control mobilizations. Of course, with this situation, it's understandable that many movements well, let me say before something. I do believe that the same we can say that the world and Mexico is facing a global warming in ecological terms. We can say we are living a political and social warming. Everything is very dramatic. We are sensitive. The violence is coming in any moment. Mexico is a very armed people. We are the 7 people in the world with arms in the houses, in the families. And Mexican situation is that desperate for many that violence appear with a very simple fact. And there is a law to avoid any situation where people's protest or demands reach a little warmer than what the state may accept as being the owner of violence. And there is a huge discussion about the freedom of participation, the freedom of expression. As you know, in Mexico, lot of journalists has been dead because of this situation, etc. So the whole human right. And the fight conflictivity comes because of the ethic issues. Now, this very sensitive society now is very aware of corruption. We are not that patient to accept any corruption, any impunity. So now there are new movements, and we are very dependent of any mistake authorities create to push, to denounce, to avoid it. And of course, those who appear like that, they are immediately contracted.